It's time for Marion County football, as we have the Marion County Football Coaches Show with head coach of the Knights, Ross Brown. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon, United Threads, and Farmers National Bank. Now, let's head to Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon for tonight's Marion County Football Coaches Show with head coach Ross Brown on G&G Productions, where it's live and free.
And welcome into the Marion County Coaches Corner Show here on G&G Productions. Jamie Murphy and Howie Good live with you here on this Tuesday night at Big Papa Smokehouse here in Lebanon. And Hal, thanks for joining in tonight and stepping in, pinch hitting for Coach Brown, who had some personal issues pop up and couldn't join us here this evening, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll get him, back on the air next week as a team coming off a bye week and a heartbreaking loss by 5 points on the road at E-Town 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, Coach Brown with some personal items that came up this afternoon. It's always late notice, but we were able to put things back together. We definitely, as the old saying goes, wanted the show to go on. A couple things to talk about this Marion County team is, at 4-3, now they start really focusing on what's going to be the next steps. And, of course, you still got those three important games that are coming up. One, which is going to be the G&G Productions game of the week this week, Marion County, Nelson County. But also, you start thinking about what's postseason look like for this Marion County team, and we're going to be able to take a look at that coming up this half hour.
Yeah, we're talking off the air. It's crazy how quickly just 3 regular season games left already here in Kentucky for high school football. And, every game's important in football with, RPI and just, there's only 10 games in the regular season for high school. And now they're even more important with district play coming up and right in the meat of it. And this game between Marion and Nelson County is kind of the season's on the line on Friday night.
I think it's going to turn out to really be a really good ball game. I think Nelson County's played very well. Cam Morley has done a nice job over there leading that club, and I think they're well coached and really very similar to what I would talk about Marion County being like. I think Marion County's well coached. They both come in. It's a big district game. You look at Marion County, you look at their overall record, 4-3, but look at a couple of those losses. I mean, especially Knox Central losing by 1 point, and that team out of Eastern Kentucky, they are really good. Then you just go on through to lose to John Hardin in overtime by a score of 30-29. One of those games, well, really probably both of those games, I'm sure that Coach Ross Brown will tell you, those are 2 games that we thought we had. Yeah,
but that's going to be the unfortunate thing if Marion County is on the outside looking in at the end of the season, at the postseason, is, going back, literally one play away from winning both of those games. And even 2 weeks ago at E-Town, a 5-point loss on the road there. Nothing to hang your head about. It's a really good E-Town team, a program steeped in tradition and history, but 5-point loss, and you're just, again, if you're on the outside looking in, you're going to be looking back thinking, what if, how could things have been different if we pulled out just one of those wins?
41-36, that final score. And how about Nelson County and Elizabethtown, 34-31. Look at the close margins here, and Elizabethtown did win that second game as well. But look at the close margins between both of those ball games. And again, we were able to see Elizabethtown that night when they came up with that win over Nelson. And that was a game that really Elizabethtown had in control, but Nelson County just really kept fighting back. And there's a lot of fight in that ball club.
Yeah, I almost felt like Nelson County being there watching them was the better team for the majority of that game. They, like you said, they kept hanging around. They were pesky and just a couple plays away from, pulling off that upset. And, man, this district is just, it's a loaded district. Coach Brown's talked about that a lot this year. Very talented, very deep, a lot of parity. And you look at the standings, Taylor County's on top at 2-0, but, E-Town's at 2-1, John Hardin's 1-1. Then you got Nelson and Marion right there, just a game back. I mean, it's a very tight district race.
We're looking at this district too. I know the lit ratings came in with Taylor County in the top 15 in the state. So Taylor is playing very well, and you've got, that's really interesting. We were talking to someone here just a moment ago here that's eating here at Big Papa's tonight, and we were talking about Taylor County, and he saw him play Taylor County a couple of weeks ago. I said, Taylor County got a great ball club. Campbellsville has a great ball club over there when you look at single A. So a lot of talent coming out of that area. And when you have a team like Taylor County, the countywide school that's really putting it together, I think they're going to be ready to go come the playoffs, even though they still got 3 games that are coming up, and that's going to be the tell of the tape.
Yeah, and a lot can change in 3 weeks, too, with these district standings. That could go from the 1 seed to maybe,
Absolutely.
You slip up one time, you could be the 4 seed going on the road in the first round.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
I'll have to see how things shake out there, but like I said, a lot of football left to be played here 3 regular season games left, 2 district games for majority of the teams left out there. You'll have one of them on G&G coming up this week, Nelson County and Marion County on Friday night. From Nelson County, it should be a really, really close game. And, two, I think, even teams, but a little bit of a contrast of styles. Nelson County is more of a balanced team that can run it, pass it with Cam Morley, while Marion County, they're implementing their passing game into their offense, but still a run-heavy program, but still finding a lot of success doing that.
I agree with you. I think they're 2 different types of programs, but there's so many similarities between them that could make this a very interesting game. One of the big things is away from the field and the talent is just the anticipation of, this is a district game. And it being a big district game, what's going through the minds of the coaches this week to get their teams prepared. I mean, both Nelson and both Marion are going to have to do a lot of strategy within their players to have them just, emotionally ready to get in there and play this ball game, because, the end result's going to really have a lot of implications on the district.
Yeah, like I said, a loss from one of these teams puts them at 3 losses in district play and probably eliminates them more than likely.
Could very easily do it.
From making it to the postseason. And that should be if you look at Nelson County's schedule too, they played a lot of close, tight games this year as well, a lot of one-score games. So if I were a betting man, I'd bet on, probably a one-score game coming up on Friday night between these two.
Josh Boston has really done a nice job over there. I like his demeanor. I like his focus that he brings not only to the team, but he brings that to the entire program there in football. So I think, he brings that, which I think that can win you some ball games too. The whole key in football is not to get shook up. And in that Elizabethtown game, it had been so easy to get shook up if you were Nelson County. But they stayed the course. They had a plan. They stayed to the plan and almost won a ball game there that night.
Yeah, I think both coaches, Ross Brown on the Marion County side, is very similar. He's got a good approach. I'm using the term players coach because that seems like you kind of coddle your players, but he's got a good relationship with his players. You can tell that just talking off air to him and his interactions with the players here on the show. And I think they've both done a really good job of building and implementing a culture in year one and winning some games in year one too.
I think there'll be what's the difference come to? Naturally, anytime when we're calling these games, it gets down to who's going to hang on to the ball, who's not going to turn the ball over. I think those 2 statements are going to be more than true coming into this ball game. I think if you see a couple of interceptions, a couple of fumbles to either team's detriment, it would be to the other team's advantage.
Yeah, but I don't have the stats from Marion County from the E-Town game just yet, but up to that point, they've forced a turnover at least one time in every game. So they're a ball-hawking defense. They do a good job of forcing fumbles, jumping on loose balls, and taking advantage of opportunities that the other team gives them. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Turnovers could be the absolute difference in this game on Friday.
Yeah, I think so.
And special teams, too. And that's been a kind of a tough part for Marion County so far this year.
And sometimes when you say special teams, that goes without saying. They have got to get out and perform and not make any mistakes. And when you have mistakes made in your special teams piece, it can be a long night for a team.
Yeah, and it's not just missing extra points or failing on a 2-point conversion. It's covering kickoffs, and the field position battle, and there's a lot of things go into it.
Very simple things. You're right, Jamie.
So we'll continue to break it down. Marion County and Nelson County coming up on Friday night right here on G&G Productions. You're watching the Coach's Corner show right here, live from Big Papa Smokehouse. Also brought to you by United Threads and our friends at Farmers National Bank in Lebanon. This is a G&G production.
When you want barbecue done right, head to Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon. At Big Papa's, we take pride in smoking our meats low and slow in our very own outdoor smoke pit, using a special blend of hickory and oak wood for that rich, savory flavor. Pulled pork, brisket, ribs, all seasoned with our original in-house rubs and recipes, then smoked to perfection with delicious sides and desserts. Taste the difference that only Big Papa's can deliver. Find us at 737 West Main Street in Lebanon or call 270-699-2321. Big Papa Smokehouse, where every bite is smoked with pride. Looking for custom t-shirts or embroidery? Come see us at United Threads in Lebanon. Whether it's for your ball team, your business, a family reunion, fundraiser, or your club, we've got you covered. From hats to shirts, we can design it, screen print it, and embroider it. All done in-house with top quality results. Find us at 100 Corporate Drive right behind Hardee's and next to Kroger in Lebanon. That's United Threads, because when you look good, your team looks united.
Opening an account is easy at Farmers National Bank. We're here to help you get started.
With options like secure checking, student checking, and even senior checking, we can help you find the account that best fits your current needs. Farmers National Bank. Local, friendly, ready to serve you.
Member FDIC.
Hey, welcome back into the Marion County Football Coaches Corner show here on G&G Productions. Jamie Murphy and Happy Good with you here on this Tuesday night live from Big Papa Smokehouse here in Lebanon as the regular season winds down and district play heats up. Hal, big game for the Knights coming up against Nelson County. And it's fun to see this game be played. You know, two programs so close together, but the first time they're going to meet since 2022.
You know, and also that's really interesting when you see teams like that reconnect, I guess is what you're saying. But the whole Ross Brown history with his father, Mark Brown, winning that state championship there in Nelson County, him playing there in Nelson County, the connections there that lead Marion back to Nelson County. It's a big district game for Marion County, but there's a lot of a lot of things that tie these two teams together. For the importance of it. I'm looking forward for just a really good ball game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a nice game. I think both coaches, again, will bring them in focused and ready to play, and that's going to be the whole key. District time's coming, as they say. Be ready. And to be ready, you got to be in. And to be in, you're going to have to win some of these games. And Marion County has found themselves in a situation, these next few games that they have, there's only 3 left. They're big district games.
Yeah, but this one's huge.
This one is huge.
Because Taylor County is looming 1 week from Friday night, and like we've talked about how good Taylor County is playing this year, top 15 in some polls out there in the state of Kentucky. So if you're going to try to get a district win, Nelson County might be your last shot to try to get that. But, of course, no pushover.
Gosh, I mean, Bullitt Central's how you finish up the season.
Exactly.
So, there's going to be no doubt about it. These next 3 games are going to be tough. But the next 2 are the most important with Nelson County. But you start out with Nelson County, and you've seen both teams play, Nelson and and you've talked a lot about Marion this past year. What do you think? What are some of the things that you think that Ross Brown needs to have his team working on this week as they get ready for the Cardinals?
I think it's just the attention to details, what he's talked about a lot this year. It's just, like we said, with 3 one-score losses, you're just one play, one mistake away from, winning or losing a football game. So I think you'll preach that this week. Make sure, you cover, kickoffs. We talked about that. It's kind of been an issue with them, making extra points, taking care of the football. Just the little bitty things that you may not see in the stats and you may not notice, watching the game live when you go back and watch the film. Maybe it's a missed block or a missed assignment up front, and that one missed block could, lead to you getting stuffed on a 3rd or short, 4th and short, and cost you the ball game.
Since I got the interviewing to my advantage, let me keep going here a bit and humble me a second. When you start thinking about Marion County, and you've got to see these players in here at the coaches show all year, who do you think is going to have, all the weight they have to carry this week? Now, I'm not talking about a player that's going to have to come out and have an S on their chest to win this ball game, but who's going to have to come out there and really do what their job description is to be able to have Marion County not only in this ball game, but to come up with a W?
I think you go to the whole, the entire offensive line, the front 5, because like we mentioned, Marion County is a football program. They want to run the football. They can mix in the pass, but their bread and butter is running that ball with D. Thornton, Nathan Shuck, players like that. Even Wyatt Thompson at quarterback, kind of a bit of a dual threat like Cam Worley is. So I think you got to lean on your front 5 to establish the line of scrimmage. It sounds so cliche saying that, but that's really what that's what football comes down to is the front 5 on offense and the front 7 on defense. So I think they got to establish the run. They're a program, and Nelson County probably has the same struggles that aren't as deep, with numbers as you'll see with teams, out of Louisville and Lexington and programs like that. But if you're Marion County, you want to establish that run, feed D. Thornton, feed Nathan Shuck, do what you do best, go to your bread and butter, and establish that line of scrimmage and kind of control the clock and control the game and keep that Nelson County offense on that sideline as long as you can possibly do.
And Nelson County, coming off of that game of Elizabethtown, I really think, that game, they played so well to come up and come out with an L. They really had that game in a great position. But Elizabethtown, that just goes to show with the great coaching that they have. Came back and defeated John Hardin and then lost to, no shame in this, to a very tough Taylor County team. You look at that transition in play. You know, what will they have to do? They're coming off of a Taylor County game, lost by 7, so lost basically by a touchdown. How do you get ready for a Taylor County team that is just really highly touted this year? 7-0, so they're undefeated in the district as well. It's a Cardinal club that has always had the eyes on them this year. What do you think? You know, if you're Marion County, you don't want to look past anybody because you got to get past Nelson County first. But, you know, you got Taylor County looming in the wait there that, gosh, these are two, like we keep saying, they're important ball games. But it's kind of like, you know, I feel like we're traveling over in Ireland with our buddy Seamus here, and it's, you know, it's taking over kingdoms here. And how do you go take these two kingdoms and take care of them one by one? Because you got to have them both.
It's a one game at a time approach, and I think Coach Brown's done a good job with Marion County this year. Because, you know, we sat here and we coming off that loss to Bethlehem. They bounced back well at the game after that, and then, you know, to play you know, that rivalry game with Washington County, they didn't overlook that team. You know, they stayed focused, they stayed dialed in before that game. So I think he's got a good grip on his team to, you know, be excited for that challenge that's next week. But I think the message this week's going to be, if you don't win this game against Nelson County on Friday night, your season, while there's still 2 games left, is essentially over. You're playing for your playoff life on Friday night. If you lose that Taylor County game, you can get to play spoiler maybe against Taylor County and cost them the district. But, you know, you want that game to mean something. So that game's meaningless unless you win on Friday against Nelson County.
I think that's the most important thing is you start looking at Taylor past Friday. Of course, you don't put one team from the other, but it's still 2 mighty kingdoms that have to be brought down in order to come in with the victory for the homeland, if you will. On this Nelson County team, I talk about Cam Morley, but you know who I really like? I really like Grant Cox. And I went back to look, and Cox on rushing has close to 500 yards, 492 yards. He's really done a nice job this year.
He has, and I've been impressed with the, you know, the kind of the style change that Coach Boston's put on there at Nelson County. They were more of an air raid team, airing it out, throwing the ball around the field last year. Had some injuries late in the season last year when I was covering them. And, you know, Grant Cox is a player that he had to step up and kind of just thrown into the wolves, you know, for lack of a better term there at the end of last year. And he really has stepped into that running back role and done a really good job for that program.
Cam Morley's got 2 great targets. I like Reynolds. I think Jacob Reynolds does a nice job for him, and we'll be talking about him a whole lot on Friday night. And also the likes of Hagan Sims. Sims, just good hands, good sure guy. If you throw it to him, he's going to catch it.
Yep, good target for third. You know, call it third and Sims. When it's third and long,
go.
you need a play. You can find him over the middle. He's shifty, good runner, good route runner. So yeah, and then speaking of Cam Morley, I've been really impressed with him this year. You look back, you know, at his stats last year. He had more, you know, passing touchdowns and passing yards. And the stats are a bit down this year, but he just looks a lot more comfortable playing in this system under Coach Boston.
Yeah, I think so too. That transition, and since we're talking about transitions, seems to have worked well. And I'll tell you who's worked for us, Coach Boston. He's been able to come in and when I see Morley, I mean, he's really leading this team, and I'm sure that's what Coach Boston looks for.
Yeah, good leader, good, you know, veteran quarterback, and again, he's kind of developed into a dual threat quarterback this year with his legs as well. So I've been very impressed with how they've handled that transition. And talk about transition again. Just this game is, you know, made for TV game, Hal, with all the storylines. The Ross Brown coming back to Nelson County, you know, big district game. You know, really, winner stays alive, losers probably eliminated from postseason contention. So. Tons of storylines to follow in that game coming up on Friday night with Nelson and Marion County.
Well, and throw in that 4-3 record for Marion County. Go figure. Who thought they'd be here at 4-3? Very easily could be undefeated at this point. With just, you know, a break here or a break there, easily could be undefeated.
Absolutely. Again, just pay attention, you know, just attention to detail. You know, they're 3 plays away essentially from being a 7-0 football team and being in control of this district and building a tons of momentum towards, you know, district play and on into the postseason. So again, and that's why it's such a big game on Friday night, because you don't you don't want to miss that, you know, that cutoff line of getting into the postseason and have to look back at, you know, 3 or 4 one-loss games and just think, what if all offseason long leading into next year.
Sure, and you got to put that aside. Your what ifs are done.
Yep.
You know, now you think about, okay, Nelson. That's what Marion has to think about is, instead of what if, it's got to be what's next. And what's next is Nelson, and that's what they have to be attentive to and be ready for that challenge.
Yeah, kind of a one-game season from here on out. Just, look at Nelson County as one game, stay alive, win that one, get the chance to play Taylor County. And I think Ross Brown can embrace being that underdog. And we've seen them play well as the underdog this year. John Harden had that game, I think, wrapped up a win right in their hands and let it get away late. Close loss to D-Town and several other ones throughout the season.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we'll step away for a quick break here on the Coach's Corner Show, live from Big Papa Smokehouse here in Lebanon. Also brought to you by our friends at United Threads and Farmers National Bank of Lebanon. This is a G&G production.
When you want barbecue done right, head to Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon. At Big Papa's, we take pride in smoking our meats low and slow in our very own outdoor smoke pit, using a special blend of hickory and oak wood for that rich, savory flavor. Pulled pork, brisket, ribs, all seasoned with our original in-house rubs and recipes, then smoked to perfection with delicious sides and desserts. Taste the difference that only Big Papa's can deliver. Find us at 737 West Main Street in Lebanon or call 270-699-2321. Big Papa Smokehouse, where every bite is smoked with pride.
Ready for a new adventure? We'll help you get there, by land or by water. New car, ATV, RV, or boat? Wherever your next adventure takes you, we make your loan process simple, stress-free, and fast.
Farmers National Bank. Local decisions, personal service, real relationships. Member FDIC.
Looking for custom t-shirts or embroidery? Come see us at United Threads in Lebanon. Whether it's for your ball team, your business, a family reunion, fundraiser, or your club, we've got you covered. From hats to shirts, we can design it, screen print it, and embroider it. All done in-house with top quality results. Find us at 100 Corporate Drive right behind Hardee's and next to Kroger in Lebanon. That's United Threads, because when you look good, your team looks united.
And welcome back into the Marion County Football Coach's Corner Show here on G&G Productions. Jamie Murphy and Javi Good stepping in tonight as Coach Ross Brown unable to make it due to some personal reasons. So hopefully get him back on the show next week. So we'll have a bit of a abbreviated show this week. But again, Hal, thank you for stepping in.
Glad to be in here to talk about what's coming up. I'm excited about coming in, what's going to be happening on Friday night, because the game of the week this week is going to be the Marion County Knights taking on the Nelson County Cardinals, and that's always been an interesting matchup. I think even leading up to the big game, it's going to lead up to a lot of different pieces to make the importance of it, and one is that district implications if you're just tuning in. We talk about it, but it's a must-win for Marion County and Marion County to come in for that big W on Friday night.
It is. There's still a chance if they do come up short with Nelson County.
Always a chance.
Getting back in.
Always a chance.
But then, the RPI comes into play, and you never want your hands and your fate in the hands of a computer system that nobody really understands.
If Ross Brown were here, coach of the Marion County Knights, he would say, I want it in my hands.
Exactly.
I want my fate to be in my hand and my players, and that's what he's going to have. He's going to have that Friday night to be able to determine. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be interesting to see how teams come out, if they're prepared, and the contrast of them as they get into it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they bounce back. It's always rough to lose a game, but to lose a game going into a bye week, especially about one score on the road in district play, a game you probably should have won or were a couple plays away from winning, it's got to leave a sour taste in your mouth for the 2 weeks leading up to this game. So I expect them to come out hot and ready to go on Friday night.
I would think so as well. I mean, what reason would they not have to come out? A game that they felt like they had, but didn't come up with it. But now coming into a game, an atmosphere. But the Bill Broadus Field is a great atmosphere for a football game, and it should be a good one this Friday night. And if Marion County comes in, bring out a good crowd from Marion County, close game. Counties basically join in the southern end together. Get on up for that ball game there at Nelson County. They need your support.
Yeah, it should be one of the better environments you can get into this year with Central Kentucky football. So we'll see how the Knights are able to bounce back again, coming off that close loss. 2-3 in one-score games this year. I don't have Nelson County's record in one-score games. They've played in a handful of them, a couple of wins, couple of losses. In fact, their last 3 games have been decided by one score, losing 2 of those contests and winning 1 over John Harden right there in the middle. So I'd expect a game that comes down to the fourth quarter, perhaps the final possession of the game.
6:45 will be the pregame. 7:30 will be the kickoff Friday night. We'll have our regular crew with us to bring you that game for you on Friday evening. I wanted to ask you about some other games that are going on in the area because I just really want to pick your brain. You're like me, you follow this high school ball, but I really think this Bethlehem Kentucky Country Day game is going to be a big game because I think Kentucky Country Day and Campbellsville will be a big game when it comes up in the next week or two, I believe is when that is. Tell me about the Eagles against KCD.
Yeah, and we saw them with Campbellsville a couple weeks ago, and just kind of, I don't want to say run off the field and be negative, but they had their hands full that night with Campbellsville, and I expect that with KCD as well. Coming up in that game on Friday. And man, speaking of tough, we're talking about Marion and Nelson County with a tough district. What about Bethlehem's district? My goodness, KCD,
very tough this year.
Very, very tough district for them to be in. So I'd expect a uphill battle for Bethlehem, but they've got enough pieces. They're a well-coached team there, Coach Mattingly, to have a chance as an underdog to try to spoil KCD's season.
Interesting ball game. Lexington Catholic comes to Bardstown. What about that coach switcheroo going on Friday?
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches
and storylines,
yeah,
that's a heck of
got a heck of a one. Talk about it.
Yeah, David Clark coming back to Bardstown after, I think 17 years on that Bardstown sideline as a head coach, lifetime Bardstown coach. It was the assistant under Joey Downs for many years. So it's gonna be weird seeing him in a different color other than purple and gold on Friday night, and it's gonna be very emotional for him to come back to Garnis Martin Field. Against Justin Grundy, who he kind of groomed up and handed the keys off to that Bardstown program. But I'm sure those Bardstown players, I'm not sure, I don't know any details how that breakup went when Coach Clark's up the side.
Sure,
I'm sure they're going to be fired up to go up against their former coach and try to prove a point.
Better believe it. During the 4 quarters of play, there'll be no doubt about it. They're going to want to beat Lexington Catholic. But it's really Coach Clark did a superb job over there.
Absolutely.
I know he'll lead Lexington Catholic in just some great directions.
Yep, and Justin Grundy's done a great job as well.
Oh, he's doing a great job over there. Washington County travels down to a game I always like to go down to, Shawnee High School. Shawnee down in the western part of Louisville. The Golden Eagles down there. Their concession stand has the best hot dogs of anywhere in the whole state of Kentucky. But their team really suffers, and Washington County has got to go down and win at Shawnee.
But it's one of those games, I'm not sure who Washington County has coming up after that. But it could be kind of a trap game situation, so you want to stay focused and dialed in, take care of business. Don't let a team like Shawnee hang around for 2 or 3 quarters, because then you could find yourselves on the wrong side of an upset.
Then it's Holmes at Thomas Nelson for games here in the area. I want to see what Holmes' record was coming in there. Holmes is 1-6 right now. A team that's really struggling, as well as Thomas Nelson trying to get into that winning column. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of game that is.
Yeah, that's a big chance for Thomas Nelson. It's been rough couple of seasons for that program, but a good chance, a winnable game for them coming up on Friday. And it's all about momentum and building momentum in the season, and hopefully carry that into the spring, get some more players to come out and show up. And I think that program's heading in a good direction.
In that Thomas Nelson Washington County game that we had a chance to call here on G&G, Thomas Nelson really looked good in that first quarter of play against Washington County. But Washington County just way too strong, way too deep. It's a Thomas Nelson team that just doesn't seem to have enough numbers out right now.
Yep, and I think once they get past this, I think it's a 2-year hiatus from playing official district games and competing for the postseason. I think once they get their feet under them, again, winning cures everything. So if they can build 2-3 wins this year, carry that momentum into the offseason, maybe get some more numbers to trickle out, win a couple more games next year, I think 2 or 3 years on the road, they could be back to being a competitive football program.
Marion County Knights taking on Nelson County. Friday nights, our G&G Productions game of the week. We've talked about the implications about this ball game. Your coach, Ross Brown, what are some things that you're doing to get them ready? It's already Tuesday. We are not able to fill him out today to find out exactly, but Wednesday and Thursday, those days are coming right up, and Friday before the game itself. What are you doing with your team to get them ready for a team like Nelson County?
I think it's just a lot of film, especially going up against a dual threat quarterback and offense that's well balanced with the pass and the run. You don't see that a whole lot at the high school level, especially in this area of the state. It's usually run heavy. So I think at this point, you're coming off a bye week, you're getting a little bit healthier. You're probably not pushing it too much in practice, and nobody really is at this point of the season. So, Thursday will probably be the film and walkthrough day. I think tomorrow will probably be the same thing. So I think it's just take it easy, and just watch the film and be ready to dial in on the little things to make sure a little mistake, a missed block, a big kickoff return doesn't flip field position and cost you the game on Friday.
Yes, it's more of strategy now than it is anything. I mean, being prepared
Yeah.
is more strategy. If depending on, you can't really be dependent on how fast somebody's going to run their wind sprints any better for just 3 or 4 more games in the season. You've got to be able to come over there and mentally be prepared, and that means you got to watch them on film. That means you got to know the type of plays they're going to be calling and be ready for each one. Got to be ready for change-ups and defenses that they throw at you, especially if you're on the offensive end if you're Marion County.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. It's scheme and strategy this time of year.
Yeah,
There's
makes
not a
sense.
lot of hitting in practice, especially with the programs around here. We don't get the numbers that Trinity, St. X, teams in the bigger cities have. Everybody pretty much plays 2 ways on both sides of the football, so that makes it very challenging for these teams. So.
Very true.
Looking forward to it. It should be a good game on Friday night, and we'll have that right here on G&G Productions, Marion and Washington County. 6:45 pregame, right?
That's it, right. We'll get things started at 6:45. Kickoff will be at 7:30, so we'll have all that coverage for you live and free, as we like to say, on G&G Productions.
All right, Hal, well, again, thanks for stepping in, putting on your coach's hat this evening.
Yeah, it's glad to be
and,
here. We know Ross Brown, and just like any other coaches shows we've done in the past, we understand when things do come up, and we just hope he can he gets whatever the personal things he was working on today understood on our end, and gets things ready, because I know there's no one that is as competitive as Ross Brown is. You can tell by talking to him at these shows, to see him at the ball games, how overjoyed he was with that win over Washington County, the rivalries, coming up with W's. That's the sign of a coach that's excited about where he's at, excited about what he's doing, and excited about what he wants to get done. So we wish him good luck, as it's going to be a really good game between Nelson and Marion on Friday.
Yep. That'll wrap it up for the Coach's Corner Show right here at Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon. Also want to thank our friends at United Threads and Farmers National Bank of Lebanon. This has been a G&G production.
When you want barbecue done right, head to Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon. At Big Papa's, we take pride in smoking our meats low and slow in our very own outdoor smoke pit, using a special blend of hickory and oak wood for that rich, savory flavor. Pulled pork, brisket, ribs, all seasoned with our original in-house rubs and recipes, then smoked to perfection with delicious sides and desserts. Taste the difference that only Big Papa's can deliver. Find us at 737 West Main Street in Lebanon, or call 270-699-2321. Big Papa Smokehouse, where every bite is smoked with pride. Looking for custom t-shirts or embroidery? Come see us at United Threads in Lebanon. Whether it's for your ball team, your business, a family reunion, fundraiser, or your club, we've got you covered. From hats to shirts, we can design it, screen print it, and embroider it. All done in-house with top quality results. Find us at 100 Corporate Drive, right behind Hardee's and next to Kroger in Lebanon. That's United Threads, because when you look good, your team looks united.
At Farmers National Bank, we're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, your friends, and your partners in success.
Whether you're managing your personal checking, growing your business, exploring digital banking, or applying for a loan, we're here to help with all of your financial needs.
Decisions are made right here locally by people who understand you and your community, because we live here too.
Farmers National Bank. Local decisions, personal service, real relationships. Member FDIC. You've been watching the Marion County High School Football Coaches Show with head coach Ross Brown, live from Big Papa Smokehouse in Lebanon. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Big Papa Smokehouse, Farmers National Bank in Lebanon, and United Threads. Thanks for tuning in. Join us next Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for the Marion County Football Coaches Show. And go Knights!